Hello everyone, and welcome to Can I Beat Pokemon Sword with only Marnie's team? This is Marnie's team. A mostly dark team with Toxicroak probably to defend against fighting types and fairy types. For this challenge, I want to match Marnie's Pokemon, their moves, and their abilities to the best of my ability. As usual, I start the run by transferring a Morpeko from Pokemon Home. No nickname since Marnie does not nickname her Pokemon. He's a neutral nature with Thundershock and Tail Whip. As we level up, we got Leer, which, just like Tail Whip, we can't use, because Marnie's Morpeko doesn't use Tail Whip or Leer. For Hop, all we could do was Thundershock, but we win the battle. We get our Dynamax bands, but before going to the train station, we trade in a Croagunk, since it's a Shield exclusive. Croagunk is a sassy nature, which is probably bad for a Croagunk, and it has the Dry Skin ability. So water attacks heal and fire attacks do more damage. We start with Poison Sting and Mud Slap, but we can only use Poison Sting. We go to the wall area and do some training before registering for the gym challenge. At the hotel, Team L were easy pickings with Thundershock. So the next morning, we attend the opening ceremony, and it's on to our next fight with Hop. I tried to start with Croagunk, who actually got the poison on turn 1, but Poison Sting itself was hardly doing damage. So I switched to Morpeko. Wooloo went down to Thundershock and then poison damage. With that, Morpeko leveled up and learned Quick Attack. We now have 2 moves Morpeko can use. Scorbunny took 5 Thundershocks, and Rookidee was a one-shot. After the battle, I went to the Pokemon Center. Inside is a guy who can delete moves. I delete 2 moves from Morpeko since Thundershock and Quick Attack is all I can use, and 3 moves for Croagunk since Poison Sting is the only move I can use. For the Bead Fight and Galar Mine, I started with Croagunk, which was the wrong move, because Croagunk went down to 1 confusion. Morpeko is out and took out Solosis and 2 Thundershocks, but was in low health from Endeavor. We go down to Hatenna. It takes a few tries, but we eventually get this run. I send out Morpeko first, at level 19, and attack with Thundershock. Solosis Endeavor takes us to yellow health, but our Citrus Berry heals us. Our second Thundershock paralyzes Solosis, so we get the knockout. Hatenna took 3 Thundershocks, but the Summoning Voice had taken us to red health. Gothita went for a tickle, and got paralyzed the second turn. But then it went for a second tickle when it only had a slither of health. Needless to say, we won. It's time for the gym. I start with Croagunk, since poison is super effective. However, for some reason, Revenge did more damage than poison Sting. I went into Eldegoss at 28 HP because Gossifleur activated our Oran Berry. Just like Gossifleur, Max Ooze does low damage, so Croagunk goes down. Morpeko survives the Max Overgrowth, but Thundershock does almost nothing, so we lose. At level 20, Croagunk learns Venoshock, so we try again. Gossifleur is down 2 Venoshocks. Eldegoss activates our Oran Berry, and again takes a Max Ooze, but our second Max Ooze takes Eldegoss to red health. That was probably because of Max Ooze's special attack rise. Eldegoss takes out Croagunk in its last turn of Dynamax. Morpeko's Thundershock is resisted, so a few quick attacks win us our first badge. We go get our bike, and it's on to our next hot battle. Wooloo went down to 1 Revenge. Gorfspire took 2 Thundershocks, and Reboot took Revenges. It's time for the second gym. I start with Croagunk against Goldeen, because water attacks cannot damage Croagunk. Sadly, Goldeen only used Horn Attack on us, so we were in yellow health for Arrokuda. Arrokuda's Aqua Jet heals us, but uses Bite next turn. Arrokuda goes down to a crit Revenge. Dreadnought takes out Croagunk with a crit Max Strike, while Pico goes down to Max Geyser. A few attempts later, we get this attempt. We start with Morpeko, who takes out Goldie in one crit Thundershock. Ikuda also takes 2 Thundershocks. I switch to Krogunk for Dreadnought. Dreadnought's Max Geyser gets negated, and we get a Max Knuckle. Max Strike activates our berry, but another Max Knuckle takes Dreadnought to yellow health. Krogunk goes down next turn, and Morpeko then outspeeds and takes out Dreadnought, winning our second badge. With Nessa done, we can get our third Pokemon. At the entrance to Galar Mine number 2, we can get a Scraggy. It doesn't take long to get one, but it's the wrong ability. We need Shed Skin. Nope, not you. And there we go. Third time's the charm. It's mild nature, so pretty bad. Thankfully, right from the start, we have 2 moves, Headbutt and Low Kick. Back in the mine, Beat was a one-shot sweep with Morpeko, and it's on to Motorstoke to face the Lady of the Hour. Scraggy had learned Beat Up in the mine, so now our movesets match. It starts with Krogunk vs Krogunk. I use a Sucker Punch, but Revenge hits harder. Venoshock still leaves Krogunk in green health, so we go down to red health from another Revenge. This time, we go for Revenge. Revenge has -4 priority, so I should have expected Marnie's Krogunk to outspeed us. Morpeko was a one-shot for Revenge. Marnie heals Krogunk, while we have Scraggy use a Headbutt. One more Headbutt takes out Krogunk. Our Scraggy goes down to 2 low kicks by Marnie's Scraggy. We try again. We still start with Krogunk, and it's just a Revenge Fest. We are slower, so we get the power boost. Marnie heals, but Krogunk still goes down. We send in our Scraggy for Marnie's Scraggy, but Marnie's Scraggy is stronger, so Scraggy goes down. Morpeko takes out Scraggy with Thundershock, because Scraggy used Headbutt. Marnie's Morpeko is last, and we both barely hurt each other, but Marnie is eventually defeated because of the power of leftovers. It's on to the third gym. We started with Scraggy against Ninetales. Ninetales Will-O-Wisp gets negated by a Rossberry, but Headbutt does nothing. Ninetales' second Will-O-Wisp gets negated by Shed Skin, and Low Kick does less damage. Scraggy eventually goes down. Morpeko's next. Thundershock paralyzes Ninetales, and we get burned, but burns only affect physical attack damage. Also, our leftovers is healing the same amount of health the burn takes away. We take out Ninetales and Arcanize them. Thundershock does nothing. Morpeko is down in 3 flame wheels. Krogunk is last, but gets double damage from fire attacks. Surprisingly, we could survive 1 flame wheel before going down. With the first Marnie battle done, we can start setting up for the second Marnie battle, which includes our 4th Pokemon, Liepard. But here comes an exception to my rules. Marnie's Liepard is hidden ability. I have no way to get a hidden ability Liepard/Purloin, so I just used whatever ability I got. I actually decided to have some fun and try the strongest one Liepard, who was surprisingly in my catching range. It was gentle nature, so pretty bad against fighting types, and it had an Unburden, which gave a speed boost when it used an item. That might be useful. Sadly, at this level, all Liepard can use is Fake Out and Torment. We return to Kabu with the whole team at level 30. I gave Scraggy the Silk Scarf, Krogunk the Black Glasses, and Liepard a Rossberry. We start the battle of Liepard vs Ninetales. We go for the Fake Out and flinch Ninetales, but all we have left is Torment, so we go for that next turn. Oh, and Will-O-Wisp missed. We switch to Morpeko and we get burned. Come on! With the burn, our spark is weakened, so we spam Thundershock until Ninetales takes us out. But now, Ninetales only has a sliver of health. I send in Scraggy. Ninetales burns Scraggy before going down to Headbutt. But the burn is then negated by Shed Skin. We switch back into Liepard for Arcanine. We then Fake Out and Torment and switch to Scraggy, who immediately gets burned. Because of Torment, Arcanine can't take us out quickly, which allows us to discover Low Kick does more damage, and we go down with Arcanine in red health. We switch to Koga, who fails a Sucker Punch, but lands next turn taking out Arcanine. Scorch is last, and we try to stall it out, but it takes out Krogan with G-Max and Inferno. All we have is Lipard, who goes down to Bug Bite. We try again a couple levels higher. This time, we have Sucker Punch on Lipard. We start with our Fake Out and Torment, and then go for Sucker Punch. Ninetales goes down to 2 Sucker Punches. For Arcanine, I switch to Morpeko, and then immediately switch back to Lipard, so we could use Fake Out. We go for Torment, and then manage to get Arcanine to yellow health with the last of our Sucker Punches. I switch to Scraggy, who takes out Arcanine with Brick Break. I switch to Morpeko for Scorch. 2 Max Lightnings take Scorch to yellow health, but Morpeko goes down to 2 Max Flare Vines. Scraggy goes down to G-Max and Inferno, and Lipard is out. We go for Fake Out and Torment before Lipard goes down. Last is Krogan, who takes out Scorch because Scorch used Smokescreen. It's on the Hammerlock, where we listen to Rose's boring spiel, blah blah, wishing Star's energy, and we're on Route 6. This Clefairy and Clefable apparently only know Metronome because Torment caused them to struggle, which is pretty funny. In Snow Inside, this man pays us an unusual amount of money for my rare bone, and it's time for Hop. Cramorant goes down to Spore. I send in Lipard, so Silicobra doesn't spam Dig, and we end up getting paralyzed. Silicobra also has Brutal Swing, which is new knowledge to me. Silicobra goes for Dig, and for some reason I send in Krogan, who goes down to 13 HP. Silicobra goes down to Sucker Punch. Toxel is next, and I keep in Krogan, who takes most of Toxel's health for Sucker Punch. I send out Scraggy, who I apparently did not heal before the fight, and take out Toxel with Brick Break. I send back out Lipard, and realize I ran out of Sucker Punches. That's why I switched. I switched to Morpeko, who takes 2 double kicks from her boot before taking it out. I go and get the Muscle Band before starting the gym, and give it to Krogan. Against B, we started Lipard against him on top. We got our Fake Out and Torment, but go down to Revenge. I switch to Scraggy, worried about him on top's counter. We go for Headbutt, and yep, counter. Scraggy gets him on top to red health before going down. Morpeko takes out him on top. Pangoro's out, and we get a crit, taking Pangoro to red health before getting one shot. Last is Krogan, who gets taken to yellow health with Night Slash before taking out Pangoro. Surfetch is out and takes it out with Revenge. We come back a few levels higher with a newly evolved Toxicroak and Scrafty. We still start the battle with Fake Out and Torment, and out comes Toxicroak. We go for Venom Shock, and then Poison Jab, which takes half of him on top's health in one go. Pangoro is down after 2 Poison Jabs. I send out Scrafty Surfetched. We get a scary face before going down. I send back out Toxicroak, who gets Surfetched to red health and Poison Jab, but goes to 25 HP for Revenge. One more hit takes it out, and it's on to Machamp. I switch to Morpeko. We get Machamp to red health with 2 Max Lightnings before going down the G-Max G-Stroke. Toxicroak takes out Machamp. Our next battle is against Bede. It starts with Lipard versus Duosion. We go for Fake Out and then Sucker Punch, but it failed due to Duosion using Light Screen. Bede then decides to step Reflect and a second Light Screen. No one would expect a second Light Screen. Finally, we get a Sucker Punch, which takes Duosion to a sliver of health. Bede uses a Super Potion, which causes our last Sucker Punch to fail. I switch to Scrafty, so we can Brick Break to get rid of Duosion's screens. It goes down to 2 Brick Breaks. I switch to Morpeko, who one-shots Hatchrim with Bite. Ponyta is also one-shot, and Gothorita is a 2-hit KO. It's time for the 5th gym. It's Lifeart versus Weezing. I go for Fake Out and then Sucker Punch. Sucker Punch does not do a lot of health. but Weezing's Fairy Wind does. I go for a tournament and another Sucker Punch before going down. I send out Toxicroak, who immediately gets a defense boost. Poison Jab takes Weezing to red health, but Fairy Wind does barely anything. One more hit takes out Weezing. Togekiss is next, so I switch to Morpeko. Spark does good damage, but 2 Drain Kisses take out Morpeko. I send back out Toxicroak, who takes out Togekiss. Mawil's next, and I keep it Toxicroak to take the Intimidate before switching to Scrafty. We go back and forth with Brick Break and Drainy Kiss until Scrafty goes down. Toxicroak is the last Pokemon. 2 Sucker Punches take out Mawile, and out comes Alcremie. 2 Max Oozes take out Alcremie and Word Hammerlock. Oh look, it's Hop! It's time to battle. Trevenant is first, it goes down to 2 Sucker Punches by Liepard. Heatmore is next, it goes down to 2 Brick Breaks. Cinderace is out, and we do good damage with Brick Break, but go down to Acrobatics. I send out Morpeko. Fireball takes Morpeko to 11 HP, but Spark takes Cinderace to red health 2 and gets the Paralysis. Hop then goes for a Hyper Potion. Morpeko gets Cinderace back to red health before going down. I send out Liepard, who takes out Cinderace with our favorite combo of Fake Out and Sucker Punch. I send out Toxicroak against Snorlax. Poison Jab takes Snorlax to half health and gets them poisoned. One more hit takes out Snorlax. Boltund is last. Poison Jab takes Boltund to a sliver health, but then Boltund uses Roar, so Liepard is out. Fake Out takes out Boltund. It's on to the 6th gym. The battle starts with Scrafty versus Barbaracle. Scrafty does big damage with Brick Break, but gets outsped and taken out with 2 Razor Shells. Morpeko takes out Barbaracle with Spark. Shuckle is next, and I keep in Morpeko. Morpeko gets incredible flinch luck before taking out Shuckle. Stonjourner is next, and I switch to Toxicroak. Poison Jab does little damage, but then Stonjourner uses Wonder Room. So our next Poison Jab does a lot of damage. One more takes out Stonjourner. Last is Colossal. Max Ooze does low damage, and of course, Max Flare has boosted damage. Toxicroak goes down next turn. Needless to say, we lose this round. On our second attempt, Barbarrow decided to use Shell Smash, and then wiped half our team, almost with a force, by itself. So it's time to grind. On our next attempt, Barbarrow again used Shell Smash, but it missed its Razor Shell, so it went down to Spark. I keep in Morpeko for Shuckle, it goes down to 4 Sparks. Stonjourner is next and seals its own doom with Wonder Room, as it goes down to Brick Break. Colossal is last and goes down to 3 Max Knuckles. With that done, it's on to another hot battle. Double is first and goes down to 2 Brick Breaks. I switch to Morpeko, who takes out Corviknight with 2 Sparks, but Morpeko is now minus 4 speed, so I switch to Liepard for Cinderace. I go for Fake Out and Sucker Punch before Liepard goes down to Fireball. I switch to Scrafty, who takes Cinderace to a slither health, which causes it to faint from hail damage. Next is Snorlax, so I switch to Toxicroak, who takes Snorlax to a slither with 2 Poison Jabs before it also goes down to hail damage. Pikachu is last. Poison Jab takes it to half health, but it takes out Toxicroak with Spark. I switch to Morpeko. I forget Pikachu has Lightning Rod, but Bite takes Pikachu to a slither of health, which causes it to also faint from hail damage. What are the odds? Well, we go down round 9, get the Water Bite. It's time for our second Marnie battle. It starts with Scrafty versus Liepard. Liepard goes down to 1 Brick Break. Marnie's Scrafty outspeeds and takes out Scrafty in 2 Brick Breaks. Toxicroak finishes off Scrafty with Poison Jab. Marnie's Morpeko is last. Poison Jab does good damage, but Marnie used the Hyper Potion next turn. So Morpeko was poisoned. Another Poison Jab brings Morpeko back to low health, but Toxicroak gets paralyzed, so Morpeko goes down to poison damage. Editor Genki here. I completely forgot about Toxicroak. I kept in my Toxicroak. We were not getting very many hits in, thanks to bad luck with paralysis, but then Marnie's Toxicroak used Swagger, which powered up Poison Jab to finish it in one go. With that battle over, We can change our team to match Marnie's semifinals team. This includes one of the worst changes Marnie could make. Replacing Poison Jab with Toxic. Toxicroak, a physical attacker, now only has Sucker Punch for physical attacks. We also give Morpeko Bullet Seed, and add an Impotent Be Caught in Glimwood Tangle to our team. We can't use it yet, it's just there to gain experience. Thankfully, we can immediately start the gym mission, and it's on to Pierce. We start with Toxicroak versus Scrafty. I go for Toxic while Scrafty uses Sand Attack. 2 Venom Shocks take out Scrafty. I switch to our Scrafty for Malamar. Brick Break gets a crit, taking Malamar to half health. 2 Crunches finishes off Malamar. Obstagoon is next. Obstruct lowers our defense, and Obstagoon survives a Brick Break, so Scrafty goes down the counter. I send out Morpeko. Pierce uses the same strategy, but Spark doesn't power up counter enough for KO. I go for Bullet Seed, hoping for a lot of hits, but we get 2 hits and go down the Throat Chop. I send out Toxicroak, who finishes off Obstagoon with a Venom Shock. Last is Skuntank. All we have for Skuntank are Poison and Dark moves, so we just spam Venom Shock until Toxicroak goes down to Sucker Punch. Our last usable Pokemon is Liepard. I go for Fake Out and Sucker Punch, which takes out Skuntank. Along with the Dark Badge, we get the TM for Snarl, which we teach to Liepard. Fun fact, Pierce's TM is the only way Liepard can learn Snarl, so that means Marnie uses her brother's TM. Also, I know what you're thinking. Raihan is next. Well, no. We're going to the Isle of Armor. Why? Because we need G-Max soon to get Gigantamax Grimmsnarl. Of course, we need Grimmsnarl before we get Gigantamax Grimmsnarl. At the move reminder, we give Grimmsnarl Bulk Up since it already had Torment, and learn Spirit Break by evolving. The last move is Darkest Lariat, which is locked behind the Wall Traders, so I decide to save it for later. It's time to go fight Raihan. I start with Scrafty and Toxicroak against Flygon and Gigalith. I have Scrafty focus on Gigalith and Toxicroak on Flygon. Flygon's breaking swipes cause Scrafty's Brick Breaks to do less damage, and Scrafty eventually goes down to Fire Press and Sandstorm damage. I send out Grimmsnarl and double up on Flygon, which takes it out. But Toxicroak goes down to Sand King's residual damage. I send out Morpeko and Raihan sends out Sandaconda. I go for a Bulk Up on Grimmsnarl and both see it on Morpeko, which gets 4 hits and takes out Gigalith. Sandaconda's Brick Power takes Morpeko to red health. Raihan's last Pokemon is Drowning. Morpeko takes Sandaconda to red health with a 5-hit Bullet Seed. Duraludon takes Grimmsnarl to red health with Max Steel Spike. Morpeko goes down to Earth Power. Grimmsnarl's Max Starfall didn't do enough damage, so we lose this round. I try again a few attempts later, with the Pixie Plate on Grimmsnarl. I start with Grimmsnarl and Liepard. I fake out Gigalith for the flinch, and we use Bulk Up on Grimmsnarl, while Flygon uses Steel Wing. Spirit Break takes out Flygon, and I have Liepard use Nasty Claws. Gigalith uses Stealth Rock, and Sandaconda comes out. I have Liepard use Snarl, which almost takes Sandaconda to half health, and Grimmsnarl takes Gigalith to red health with Spirit Break. Gigalith then takes out Liepard. I send out Morpeko. I had Grimmsnarl use Bulk Up, predicting and protect from Sandaconda, and Morpeko uses Bullet Seed, which takes out Gigalith. Duraludon is out. Duraludon attacks Morpeko, who revives a Max Knuckle, and Sandaconda attacks Grimmsnarl. Grimmsnarl's Max Starfall takes Duraludon to red health. Morpeko then takes out Sandaconda. Duraludon's Max Steel Spike leaves Grimmsnarl on 3 HP, which gives us the opportunity to use Max Starfall and win our final badge. It's time for the semifinals in Winden. But first, there's something we must do. And it's time for Marnie. I don't know about you guys, but I see double. The battle starts with Scrafty versus Liepard. One Brick Break takes out Liepard. Next is Marnie's Scrafty. Brick Break takes Marnie's Scrafty to red health, while Marnie's Scrafty uses Swagger, which we avoid. This is getting me tongue-tied. How about you? Marnie uses a forward store, so 2 more brick breaks take out Scrafty. I even for some reason wrote Scraggy on my script instead of Scrafty. I switched to Toxicroak for Marnie's Toxicroak. I go for a Sucker Punch, and then switch to Morpeko. Marnie's Toxicroak uses Swagger, but we do not hit ourselves and take out Toxicroak with 1 spark. Marnie's Morpeko is next, and we one-shot with Bullet Seed. Last is Grimmsnarl, and we one-shot with Max Lightning. Our next battle is against Hawk. It starts with Scrafty versus Double. Double hits us with the Body Slam, and I go off the Brick Break. Double then survives on a Slither. Hop uses a forward store, and I use Crunch, which takes Double to half health. 1 more Brick Break takes out Double. Snorlax is next. Snorlax survives a Brick Break, it takes Scrafty to red health with Hammer On. 1 more hit takes out Snorlax. Corviknight is next, but it outspeeds, it takes out Scrafty with Drill Peck. I send out Morpeko, who takes out Corviknight with 2 sparks. Pincurchin is next, so I'll switch to Grimmsnarl. Oh, and by the way, I found Darkest Lariat. Pincurchin goes down to 2 Darkest Lariats. Last is Cinderace. 2 Max Flares takes us to red health, but Cinderace goes down to 2 G-Max snoozes. It's time to go find Leon. We get the key to Rose Tower and scale the building. At the top is Oleana. Our battle starts with Liepard against Frostlass. 2 Snarls take out Frostlass, but Liepard is burned. I switch to Morpeko for my loading. 2 sparks take it out. Salazzle's next, and it goes down to 2 sparks. I switch to Toxicroak for Serena. I started by using Toxic, while Serena takes over half our health with Acrobatics. 1 Venoshock takes out Serena, and last is Garbodor. I keep a Toxicroak, and Max Ooze only does a little damage. Garbodor goes for Max Quake, which I didn't know it had. Toxicroak goes down next turn. Switch to Morpeko, while Morpeko gets outsped and taken out with Max Quake. I switch to Grimmsnarl. Garbodor outspeeds and hits us with Gunk Shot, taking Grimmsnarl to 10 HP and getting the poison. Darkest Lariat takes Garbodor to red health before Grimmsnarl goes down to poison. I send out Scrafty, who finishes off Garbodor with Crunch. We find Leon, and the files can begin tomorrow. But of course, first is a battle with Bee. It starts with Scrafty versus Mawile. Our attack is down from Intimidate, so Brick Break still leaves Mawile in green health. Meanwhile, Mawile one-shots Scrafty with Play Rough. I send out Liepard, but Snarl doesn't do enough damage, and it also gets one shot. I send out Toxicroak. Play Rough is resisted, but all we can use is Sucker Punch. Toxicroak eventually goes down. I also made a mistake of using Swagger because it made Grimmsnarl a one-hit KO. Morpeko thankfully outsped and took out Mawile. Next is Gardevoir. Gardevoir goes down to 2 sparks because it used Combo. Rapidash used Dazzling Gleam, but Morpeko survived and also took out Rapidash with 2 sparks. Last is Henry. Max Lightning does not take out Henry, so we go down to G-Max Lightning. After a few attempts, I get to thinking, at even 10 levels higher, Morpeko and Liepard are the only ones who can outspeed Beed's Pokemon. Not to mention, Toxicroak and Scrafty are easy one-shots by Gardevoir and Rapidash. Now, I could just keep leveling up until my team is faster, but where's the fun in that? With Marnie's semi-final team defeated, I technically have access to Marnie's rematch team, so that is what I did. Look at that viewable type coverage. I went around and bought all the necessary TMs and TRs and tried beating it. I start with Toxicroak against Mawile. Our attack is down, so Earthquake leaves Mawile on red health. Mawile then misses its Play Rough, and Beed does not use a full restore, so Toxicroak takes out Mawile. I keep a Toxicroak and go for a Gunk Shot, but it misses and Toxicroak gets one shot by Psychic. I send out Scrafty, who does big damage from Crunch but goes down to Dazzling Gleam. I send out Grimmsnarl, who takes out Gardevoir with Darkest Lariat. I switch to Morpeko for Rapid Dash. Aura Wheel, Electric type by the way, one-shots Rapid Dash, and out comes Hatterene. Max Darkness takes Hatterene to below half health, but Morpeko gets one-shot by Geomax Smite. I send out Grimmsnarl, who outspeeds and takes out Hatterene with Darkest Lariat. That fight was tougher than expected. It's time for a match with Nessa. It starts with Morpeko versus Golisopod. First impression takes Morpeko to 2 HP, but Aura Wheel takes out Golisopod. Seeking is a one-shot by Aura Wheel. Bearskuna is also a one-shot, but Pelipper lives a Dark-type Aura Wheel and takes out Morpeko. I send out Scrafty. Nessa uses a 4-star, but Pelipper still goes down to 1 Thunder Punch. Last is Dreadnought. Geomax Stone Surge takes over half of Scrafty's health, but Max Lightning does the same to Dreadnought. Scrafty gets outsped and taken out next turn. I send out Toxicroak. One Earthquake takes out Dreadnought and is on the beat. I start with Grimmsnarl against her Hawlucha. Hawlucha lands a high jump kick and does good damage, but it goes down to play rough. Phalanx is next and goes for a bulk up, which helps it survive a play rough. B then uses a 4-star, which causes Phalanx to survive another play rough. Phalanx then uses Close Combat, which takes Grimmsnarl to 70 HP before going down to play rough. Surfetch is next, and is a one-shot with play rough. Grapplock also goes down to a one-shot. Machamp is last, and guess what? It's a one-shot. Who knew Phalanx would have been the hardest fight on B's team? Last is Raihan. Raihan starts with Torkoal, and I with Grimmsnarl. I go for bulk up while Raihan uses Solar Beam, which hits instantly thanks to Drought. Torkoal goes down to 2 Darkest Lariats, but yells on us before going down. Next is Tornado, and we just keep spamming Play Rough until we wake up. However, when we wake up and hit Play Rough, it does not knock out Tornado, so we get taken to 60 HP thanks to Shell Trap. Tornado goes down next turn. Goodra goes down to a one-shot, but Flygon outspeeds us and takes Grimmsnarl out with Earthquake. I send to Scrafty. Earthquake does good damage, but Ice Punch one-hit KOs Flygon. Last is Duraludon. Duraludon's max level takes a big chunk of health, but so does Scrafty's max level. Duraludon is faster, so Scrafty goes down. I send out Toxicroak, but Geomax depletion one-shot Toxicroak. I send out Morpeko, and Duraludon is out Dynamax. Bite takes a huge chunk of health, but Duraludon's Dragon Claw takes Morpeko all the way to 36 HP. Aura Wheel takes out Duraludon. Our match with Leon is interrupted by Rose, so Hop and I get the Rusted Sword Shield and we're off to fight Rose. I start with Toxicroak against Escavalier. Earthquake does less than half of Escavalier's health, while Escavalier's Drill Run does more than half Toxicroak's health. I go for Drain Punch, which allows us to live another Drill Run. One more Drain Punch takes out Escavalier. Klinklang is next and takes out Toxicroak. I send out Scrafty. Klinkling's Wild Charge does barely any damage, but Scrafty's Drain Punch takes Klinklang to red health. One more Drain Punch takes out Klinklang. Pharisee is next. 2 Drain Punches take out Pharisee. Berserker's next is also 2-hit KO. Last is Kabaraja. 2 max knuckles take out Kabaraja, and it's time for Eternatus. I start with Scrafty. Eternatus Cross Poison does decent damage, but Ice Punch does more damage. Eternatus switches to Dragon Pulse, which takes out Scrafty in 2 hits, but Eternatus is in red health. Grimmsnarl finishes off Eternatus. The battle with the Eternamax Eternatus didn't go so well. I decided to just keep spamming Ice Punch, but our attack kept getting lowered, and Zamazenta even went down the turn before we took out Eternatus. But that doesn't matter, it's time for Leon. I start with Life Part against Aegislash. I go for Nasty Plot while Aegislash uses King Shield. Snarl does quite a bit of Aegislash's health, but Sacred Sword one-shots Life Part. I send out Scrafty. Crunch takes out Aegislash. Oh, I forgot to box Eternatus. Oh well, as long as it doesn't enter battle. Haxorus is next. Outrage takes Scrafty to 43 HP, while Ice Punch takes Haxorus to half health. Scrafty goes down next turn, and I send out Grimmsnarl. Play Rough takes out Haxorus. Rhyperior's next. I send the Toxicroak. Drake Punch does less than I thought it would, and Toxicroak goes down to Earthquake. I send out Grimmsnarl. The clear off is not doing that much damage. We dodge a Stone Edge, but take an Earthquake before taking out Rhyperior. Rillaboom is next. I have Grimmsnarl use Darkest Lariat, but Grimmsnarl goes down the next turn. I send out Morpeko. Electric Aura Wheel is resisted in Rillaboom's endeavor to Morpeko up to yellow health. Dark Aura Wheel takes out Rillaboom. Dragapult is next. White takes it to red health, and we get the flinch, so it goes down next turn. Charizard is last. Max Lightning takes Charizard to red health. Surprisingly, Morpeko survives Max Rockfall, and we take out Charizard with Max Darkness. With that, we beat Pokemon Sword with only Marnie's team. Thank you to everyone who watched this video, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and maybe leave a comment.